And hello everyone, Gabe the Izzard here. Today is January 20th, 2024. I just got through watching UFC 297 that took place in Toronto, Canada. Main event was Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. Just going to give you a rundown on what happened during this whole event. First fight was of the night on the early prelims was Jimmy Flick and Malcolm Gordon. Malcolm Gordon had taken the first round. Jimmy Flick comes back and wins with a submission. It was a real cool fight. It was a good, coming back and winning. It was real tough dude, and he beat the first Canadian of the night and kind of set the tone for the night for the crowd. Next fight was a Canadian, Jasmine Jadasivius versus Priscilla Koshihara. Jasmine basically beat the brakes off of this girl for 3 rounds, and in the end of the 3rd round got the rear naked choke. Sweet fight. Go back and watch that one if you want to see a good fight. The last fight on the early prelims was Johan Lanise versus Sam Patterson, and it was a first round submission for that. It was a rear naked choke, pretty much. A couple minutes in, just a little bit of work, and got that submission in. Pretty decent fight. First fight on the regular prelims was Jillian Robertson and Pollyanna Viana, and Jillian Robertson just basically took down Pollyanna at will, controlled the first round completely. Second round, took her down, controlled her, and then eventually got the TKO. Just tried a couple submission attempts and then just basically pounded her till the ref stopped. Next fight was a bantamweight fight, Sahiri Sadi and Ramon Tavares, and this one was a great fight, back and forth. Both were just letting it all hang out. City had some great kicks. He was basically just working kicks, and good back and forth fight. Came down to the wire that it was a decision. It was a split decision. I basically just was like, it doesn't matter. It was so close. They both put it on the line. It doesn't matter who wins. It was a split decision for Ramon Tavares. Next fight was Charles Jourdain and Sean Woodson. It was a pretty close fight. It wasn't like the best fight, but it was a good action throughout the whole thing. When it came down to it, it was another split decision, and it was a weird ending where Bruce Buffer, it sounded like he gave Charles Jourdain said he was the winner, but it actually was Sean Woodson, and Sean Woodson won that split decision. The final prelim before the main card was Brad Katona versus Garrett Armfield, and pretty much I had it just as a real close fight. I gave the edge to Katona, but it was a unanimous decision to Garrett Armfield. He won that. The next one was the main card, Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev, and it was a very close fight, and Movsar Evloev won the decision. It could have went either way too. Arnold was a little disappointed, but I think Evloev actually won that fight. The next one was middleweight Chris Curtis and Marc-Andre Barriault, and Chris Curtis took that one in a split decision. basically, it was just a back and forth. Barrialt seemed to push the pace more. Chris Curtis was more reactionary. He did throw some shots, but it seemed like Barrialt was kind of the aggressor. But the last 20 seconds of that was basically in each other's face, just throwing down. But the split decision went to Chris Curtis on that. The third fight of the main card was Neil Magny versus the Canadian Mike Malott, or Malot. And Mike Malot basically took down Neil Magny, manhandling him first and second round, and was manhandling him in the third round until Neil was able to reverse, get on top, and TKO. And as the decision was being read, Mike Malot was still sitting on the ground. He was exhausted. So that was a good turnaround comeback win for Neil Magny. The co-main event was Raquel Pennington, and she was fighting Maria Bueno Silva. This is for the vacant bantamweight championship in the UFC's women's bantamweight. Moreau basically came out and was grappling with Raquel, and I think she won that round. Then Raquel just came out and just stuck to good boxing. She was striking better. The more Raquel pushed, the more Bueno Silva just kind of faded away, and she was just getting tighter and tighter. And Raquel just took over the fight. It wasn't some kind of super dominant win, but it was definitely a win for Raquel, and she wins the championship and is the new championship. So they're calling for Juliana Pena for that, which that would be a pretty decent fight. Right now, I don't think the women's bantamweight is all that good, but we'll see. The main event, Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis came out. Sean was he is such a good striker. He is technical. He has no wasted movements. He just goes in there, picks his shots, puts each one on place. Du Plessis is winging and throwing and power shots. And Sean busted up Du Plessis pretty good in the first two rounds. Du Plessis' left eye was all swollen up and was kind of looking gross. Then the third round, Du Plessis kind of turned it around. Sean just kind of faded back, and Du Plessis won the third, fourth, and fifth round, in my opinion. Ended up taking the split decision. Sean looked a little flat. His didn't have that push forward like he did in his last fight with Israel Adesanya. But Du Plessis basically did what he had to do and won the middleweight championship of the world. And so who knows who's next for him. I would assume Israel Adesanya, and since Du Plessis is from South Africa and Adesanya has African ties, they'll probably do a big African fight in the future. Other than that, it was a pretty decent card. I kind of like the prelims more than I like the main card, but that just is how that happens sometimes. But overall, a good event, and that's that. Hope you enjoyed my take on UFC 297, and I'll see you on the next one. Later.